We're back on Hockey Prospect Radio and the ECAC Hockey, leaders in hockey on and off the ice. Learn more at ecachockey.com. So I'm happy once again to bring on another head coach, and Mike Schaefer, who has been the head coach of Cornell forever. Isn't that true, Mike? Forever? Seems like that.
Sometimes it seems like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic run for you. I know you're a fellow Canadian, and one of the amazing things about I find with people who have played at the ECAC, they tend to come back in some capacity, whether it's a coach or working in administration or with the university. So collectively, you're 4 years playing at Cornell, 4 years as assistant coach, and now going to be 30 as a head coach. You spent 38 years of your life attached to Cornell University. Like, do you ever sit back and think about how that all came together and how things turned out this way, and why Cornell University and the ECAC has just been a big part of your life?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it has been a part of my life, my family, in all aspects, assistant, head coach, player, and I think that the underlying factor of the ECAC is the academic standards that exist are phenomenal. I mean, the on-ice success of our program has been well documented, but I think that when you start to meet kids that you've recruited over the course of time, that you recruited that went to other institutions in the ECAC and Cornell, you're just blown away at the accomplishments they have in their life, and what they've done with their careers and what they've done with their family. And I think that's the added excitement of as a coach of being in this league is to see what those kids are doing, 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years out after they've graduated and played hockey in the ECAC. And I went to the old CCHA, just to get a different view of a different league at the time. But I always thought that my path would lead me back to the ECAC, and then stayed here, because of the quality of the institution, but more importantly, the quality of the kid that you're recruiting and that you're talking to, that you're developing, and then you have relationships with. So I think that's the special niche of the ECAC league.
Talk a little bit about the recruiting process outside of the United States, because obviously college hockey has a mammoth footprint in the United States, but as you go into Canada and recruit players, and the ECAC and college hockey is not as familiar with the Canadian parents and sometimes even the Canadian players. Talk about that process of showing them and explaining to them the value of not only playing the ECAC but in Cornell, not just as a hockey player, but more importantly, as you grow into a man and through the academic rigors, but then what that gives to the rest of your life. Because a Cornell grad, you've had some great alumni come through your university as players, and they've turned into executives. How is that process with the parents of trying to educate them on what happens and what it could lead to?
Well, I think that you're trying to educate two people. You want to educate the athlete who's 16, 17, 18, 19 years old about the hockey. They like myself, I'm more interested in the hockey than I was the education when I first came to Cornell. And then I realized that this place was a place of excellence as a student. And then you kind of figure that out, that you better get going and take advantage of it. But the parent themselves, I'd say probably at least 80% of the parents, they know the value of the education. But they see what the starting salaries are. They see what salaries are for an Ivy League graduate 10 years out after they've graduated. And I did it was a weird presentation to one of our recruits. I think it was like seven or eight of the schools in the ECAC. They were within the top 30 of salaries after 10 years out, and average salary. So, I mean, I think that there's so many tools to do that. YouTube, to all the statistics, the analytics, and now you get to AI. Kids themselves can just go to AI and say, why choose Cornell hockey, and it'll spit out the CEOs, the alumni, the graduation rates, the salary rates, the NHL players, guys drafted. I mean, it's a pretty unique tool even now that people that, can educate themselves why to choose the ECAC or why to choose Cornell University.
One of the interesting things that, from a recruiting standpoint, when I've talked to NHL personnel or the players themselves who played at Cornell, is the structure that you guys play with there emulates pro hockey probably closer than a lot of other college hockey programs in understanding playing without the puck. How many times I've talked to young players is it's great you can do these things with the puck, but probably 95 to 97% of the time when you're on the ice, you don't have the puck on your stick. So what are you doing to help your team win and playing that way and learning those type of skills that not only translated on the ice, but actually help translate off the ice as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think you start at the top. You talk to guys that if they want to play in the NHL, there's going to be to break in. There's a certain level of accountability and trust that a GM in the NHL or NHL head coach, and they got to be able to put you out there. They got to be able to trust that you can do the job defensively. They might expect offense down the road, but to get your foot in the door, you better be able to do it defensively. And I think that, I think the misconception, it's only away from the puck. I think that at the same time, it's those decisions that with the puck, in order to make sure that, you don't let NHL players transition you, because you do, they're gonna kill you and offensively. So it's just making great decisions how to put pucks to where you can possess them, how to manage the game. And I think our program does a good job of both of those, away from the puck, but also playing like a pro with the puck and manage the game and anticipate turnovers so that you know that your teammates are going to turn over once in a while. It's what you do after that turnover in that split second is really kind of the difference in the game. And as you go up the food chain, that amount of time gets quicker and quicker of how they have to make those decisions. And I think that's what college hockey and ECAC does for kids.
How much does it help that you have a reduced playing schedule, allowing for the players to develop? And it's not just on the ice, it's off the ice in terms of understanding how to make decisions, how to make proper choices, how to build habits that turn into behavior. Because I think sometimes we only look at what happens on the ice and in practices, but how much of the film work and breaking down, understanding the game itself, and then building up those habits so that when you're on the ice, it's a learned behavior that you don't have to think. It just becomes autotelic in that respect. Talk a little bit about that process for your players.
Well, I think that most college programs have everything, right? They have all the facilities to develop as a pro. They have the nutritionists, they have the leadership council and leadership center here at Cornell. A lot of programs have. You got all kinds of strength and conditioning coaches to have your own personal development over a 2 or 3, 4 year period to to turn yourself into handling the rigors of not only college but pro hockey. But at the same time, that you're right to develop your skills and play at a higher level, higher pace against bigger, stronger, faster players on a day-to-day basis is important. Everybody talks about the limited amount of games in college hockey, but I think every guy that's played college hockey and coached knows that the transition to pro hockey is every game matters. Like one loss, it can really hurt your season as far as playoffs. 2 losses, that's like a 7-game, losing streak when we used to play junior hockey. And, so every game is like a playoff game. And that mentally developing that mindset about, one play, could put you out of the playoffs. And that play could happen in November on a bad loss. So a lot of great things about college hockey. And that's pretty evident. I mean, you look at the amount of guys that are playing in the NHL now to walk in and make the transition. That stigma of college hockey is gone a long, long time ago. And so it's a great place for a kid to develop.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's really important to understand, like mentally and emotionally, to build those habits to become a pro player where every play matters and every decision matters. Your choices matter from that standpoint. So that was a really great point by you, Mike. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate your insight of ECAC hockey as well as Cornell, and good luck throughout the season.
Appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
We're going to take a short break on Hockey Prospect Radio. Stay tuned. We will be back right after these important messages.